Let's get into it. Of course, the final games kicked off today in the round of 16. Portugal taking on Switzerland, only just recently finished. Portugal with a massive victory, 6-1. Gonzalo Ramos scored a hat-trick. Many people out there are just being introduced to Gonzalo Ramos. If you watch the Champions League on Paramount Plus and CBS Sports, you will have witnessed, and had you been watching House of Champions, shout out to all our Benfica followers out there, you would have heard our in-depth discussion about Benfica and what they do in producing some of the best players. Gonzalo Ramos coming through the Benfica Youth Academy and all the way to the first team, doing so well in the Champions League and now taking over on the national team level as well, scoring the first hat-trick at this World Cup and has now 4 goals in 4 games for his national team. Shout out to Rafa Guerreiro as well, who got himself a goal. Shout out to Pepe, the 39-year-old, 132 games for Portugal and his 8th goal scored for Portugal. Also his 2nd World Cup, and Rafa Leao came off the bench to get his 2nd World Cup goal. This was a convincing victory from Portugal. I did not see this coming. I thought Portugal would win, but this was an emphatic performance. And by the by, Nigel Reo-Coker, they left Cristiano on the bench. Thoughts?
Listen, we don't need to dissect too much in it. We spoke about it. We spoke about it yesterday, actually, discussion whether Cristiano Ronaldo will be dropped or not. Some people felt that, no, he's not going to get dropped. I said that I think with the reaction and the words from the manager, I won't be surprised if he's on the bench. He was dropped. For me, the manager tried to cover it up a bit by saying it's a tactical decision, which for me was there for everyone to see. What did we criticize this Portuguese side about? They were struggling to break sides down. They were too static, 2 balls to feet, no one running in behind, no one being able to stretch them. And I felt that there was too much of a burden where everything seemed it had to go through Ronaldo. Ronaldo gets dropped. We see a complete different Portuguese team. Ramos, every player looked like they were playing with such a freedom and belief to express themselves. There wasn't that weighing on the shoulder of the players where everything had to be through Ronaldo. We had to pass Ronaldo or make Ronaldo score a goal. There was such a freedom in this team. Why do you pay managers, Ian? To make decisions and to manage men and manage teams. Big decisions. The decision he made was absolutely enormous. A lot of people would have been disappointed because I wanted to see Ronaldo. But at the end of the day, I've always been a fan of this. It's not about one individual. Football is one of the great games where it's a team sport. As soon as a player starts believing he is bigger than a club or bigger than a nation, you're in trouble. And when a manager makes that decision, you know the manager is right with the performance that comes of that. Ramos getting a hat-trick, that goes now that you cannot even question the manager. And for me, all I'll say is this. Portugal is a better team without Ronaldo, and I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not taking any away from what Ronaldo can do and has done in his career. But right now, that performance today proves Portugal is a better team without him, and they will play the rest of his tournament with him being on the bench. So the same thing he moaned about to do a bombshell interview against Manchester United is the same situation he's going to find himself in the national team now. If they try and force Ronaldo back in that team, Michael, Portugal's will lose.
Oh, I absolutely agree. But we kind of saw this coming. Portugal playing without Cristiano Ronaldo right before the World Cup, and it was demolition derby. I think the likes of Bruno Fernandes getting on the score sheet, getting an assist, Diego Dalot getting in the starting lineup. It was good to see them. I think this Portuguese team, they are deeper than people give them credit for, and they are just spoiled for talent. They have good young players. They have Rafa Leao coming off the bench, Gonzalo Ramos. These are players that are just hungry to take over this national team. I think we are seeing the future of what could be, and today was a great cameo for that. The goals that Ramos scored, it's what happens. I look at the difference between these two types of players. Ramos is an out-and-out striker. We see it on Paramount Plus in the UEFA Champions League. We're going to see a hell of a lot more of it come February when the knockout round comes back. When you have a center forward who wants the ball in between the two center backs, who's so comfortable playing with his back to goal, who can rip it from distance like he showed on that first goal, what a cannon of a shot with his left foot, who can make the near post run. If you're a wide player, if you're a player like Rafa Guerreiro, if you're Dalot, who are wingbacks who like to get forward, even João Cancelo, who can put in a cross, we've seen in the Premier League and in this World Cup. When you get into the attacking third, you want a center forward like that has the movement, to terrorize backlines and to terrorize a Swiss backline that is known for being solid. I mean, they made Switzerland look absolutely ordinary today, and that's being nice to them.
Ian, I got a question for you. Please explain to me why we see a complete different João Felix playing for Atletico Madrid to the superstar sensational living up to his price tag of why Atletico Madrid purchased this young man today playing for Portugal. What do you think he needs to do?
There's an element of freedom to his play.
Yeah.
He can float around wherever he wants to go, get on the ball. He makes runs in behind. He is an absolute creator for this Portuguese side. Obviously had his 2 assists today, and I thought he was brilliant. I actually put a little wager on him to get a goal because I thought maybe, just maybe, he'll find himself in a position. And a couple of times he made some great runs and they didn't quite find him. But I just thought this freedom that he's got to go and express himself, which is why Atleti paid so much money for him. I mean, the price tag on his head was enormous. But he was playing with such a freedom before he went to Atleti. Then you're all of a sudden under these tactics and very difficult to really go and express yourself as open and as freely, especially under Simeone, as he does have with this national team. They're saying to him, listen, kid, we believe that you are an absolute superstar here, and we're going to get you the ball as much as you can. Go make it happen for us. And you mentioned it, both of you mentioned it, without having Cristiano on there, this is a team. This is not a team of individuals. This is a team who is playing for one another, not playing for one individual to try and get him a goal. Look at the way the game changed when Cristiano Ronaldo came onto the pitch. He was on the pitch and everything was directed to him getting a goal. I understand the score line and everybody wanted to see Cristiano score, but the game completely changed. Their tactics changed. They were all, and he's signaling, put it in the mixer, let me go up and get it. I mean, that's not how Portugal can be a success, in my opinion, in this competition or in any major competition. They have to play to the individual brilliance of what they have. And some of these kids, by the way, Leao came on and scored an absolute world. Sure, the goalkeeper could have done more. You've got João Felix creating opportunities and maybe could get more involved in the goals as best he can. Gonzalo Ramos playing the way that he did do. The names go on and on and on. The future of this team is unreal. And this is not a team you want to come up against, even though I think it's going to be a great game against Morocco. They're going to be tested now.
Mike, we've just found Ian's burner account. We've got a great comment coming from Ian's burner account. Oh,
wow. What is it? What is it, Mitch?
There we go.
There it is.
Oh, that's brilliant.
There it is.
Show us that other phone that you put that text in.
You read it. I'll read it for you. Ian, I wish you were announcing this World Cup. You make NYCFC watchable. Ian Dark and we won't name him, are a good crew for the World Cup, but John Strong and Holden are getting annoying. Big positive words for you, Ian.
Listen, I worked the last 2 World Cups. Unfortunately, I'm not in the World Cup, and it was per choice not to be in Qatar this year because I wanted to be here with you boys, and I'm happy to be at home with my family rather than going out to Qatar for the World Cup. Working a World Cup is incredibly hard, and John Strong and Stu Holden are my boys, so I'll never, ever say a bad word for those guys. I think they're doing a great job out there. They're certainly enjoying themselves, and I think as you see the tournament going on into the deeper stages, you're only going to hear the best from Stu and John. I think they're really excelling at this World Cup. Go ahead, Nigel.
I just want to jump in now, back to the game, Ian. I was just saying, for me, I think Switzerland had a good chance. But the problem with Switzerland is that I found is they tried to play through Portugal. They made it very comfortable and easy for Portugal. I think early on in the game, they needed to be a bit more direct. We saw the power of Embolo, but you didn't get to see what he was fully capable of. There were so many times he absolutely strong-armed Ruben Neves off. And he's not an easy guy to strong-arm. And you got Pepe as well. Big centre-backs. 6 foot something, great physique, great athletes, and he literally made it look like men against boys. I just felt Switzerland didn't really utilize and play to their strengths. I felt that they tried to feel that they can outplay Portugal in the footballing sense. And yes, they're a good footballing side. There are a few times where they did play out the back beautifully well, which also goes on the other hand, Michael, why if Cristiano Ronaldo would have started, Switzerland would have had a field day because there was no way Ronaldo can press as well as Ramos and Felix and Fernandez up there. Up there. So that also plays to the manager's point of view when it comes to tactics. But I just felt that Switzerland could have probably been a bit more direct, really get some balls in behind. And I give credit to Portugal. Clinical. Yeah. Ramos was absolutely, his first goal was absolutely sensational. There's no keeper in the world that can save that. What a finish. Benfica's producing some stars. You wonder if him and Fernandez are still going to be there and for how long.
Yeah, I go back and I want to touch on the Joao Felix comment. This is the Joao Felix that got the big move. When he played for Benfica, he was playing closer to a target striker at Benfica. Joao Felix, when he's stuck out wide, when he's more stationary, that is not a good player. That is not the true representation of what this kid can do. I look at both goals. It's coming from him starting wide, drifting centrally, and almost playing like a withdrawn forward. This guy is a forward, not a winger, not an attacking mid. He is a forward. He likes to contribute in front of the goal, and he can score goals. I think he's got a big goal in him in the future rounds. Yes, I said future rounds because I think this Portuguese team can make it that far. When you go back to the Swiss, I think they got it all wrong in terms of their formation. To put Fernandez in there, that was a big of a question mark for me, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The fluctuation between this 4-2-3-1, is it a 4-3-3, is it a back three? The last time I saw a Swiss team tinker right before a World Cup, it was Demolition Derby again. I think they tried to overcomplicate it a bit, got away from what makes them so successful. In that game against Brazil, I thought that was, though they lost, it was a good outing for them because they frustrated that Brazil side. And going into this match, I expected them to do much of the same, but the quality in front of goal, when you have players firing on all cylinders like Portugal did today, there is nothing you can do. Though you may have a game plan of saying, hey, we're going to keep it tight at the back. As soon as that first goal goes in, I don't think they had a plan B. And Portugal really landed the knockout blow early and often.
They didn't expect it. They didn't expect that opening goal. They didn't expect that finish in the top corner. And I think it caught them off guard, Switzerland. But I will say this. I felt like it wasn't just Fernandez who really struggled in this game. I thought in midfield, they really struggled in this game. Xhaka really wasn't the bite. He wasn't the appetite that you saw from him in the previous game. Didn't see anything from Gibril Sow being that man. Didn't see Freudler step up on the big occasion. I felt like they just kind of struggled a little bit mentally. They were being outpaced. They were being outran. They were second to every ball. They looked a bit tired in midfield, and that's maybe where they lost the game, Nigel.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think for me, the only one that I saw with a bit of appetite was from you was Vargas. Really and truly, a bit of energy.
He looked hungry.
A bit of enthusiasm. But at the same time as well, I felt that Embolo was starved of service. Yeah. He really could have been a problem. I think that if they encourage him to run in behind more, get him in that final third, and let him be a bit more free, then yeah. But like you said, because they struggled in that midfield, it's hard to get service to Embolo. And then at times they didn't think just to stretch the game. And sometimes the foundation of football never changes. It will never change. Sometimes you can simplify the game, be direct. Yes, the game's it's changed, but not everyone can play through the heart of teams. Not everyone has that ability to do it. We're going to talk later on about Spain with Morocco. They play great football, but again, they're lacking that bite. So you've got to get the balance right overall with everything. And I think that you're right. I think they lost that game in midfield big time. Maybe, Ian, they could have been expecting Ronaldo to start. And that could have been something that could have probably put a spanner in the works.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Nigel. I think that's probably why you see more emphasis being put on building up out of the back. If you have a striker that you're expecting to play that's not going to press, the likes of a Xhaka is going to get more time on the ball, and you're going to get more time as a midfielder to break your opposition down. But a point that was made about Embolo being starved of service, going into this match, Embolo is a very efficient striker. He doesn't need much service in the final third. I think he really struggled as the match went on because Portugal became much more physical with him. He's a striker that wants contact. He wants to spin you. He wants you to dive in. When you're playing against physically gifted strikers, you have to time when you go in for the tackle. You have to time almost making them psych themselves out, show you the ball. I think the experience of a defender like Pepe really showed today. Once Pepe got that second goal for Portugal, it was one-way traffic for him, and I think he and the back line grew in confidence.
Yeah, I think the experience tells a big tale as to what Portugal are all about. When you have all these kids and a team that's actually playing for one another, having Pepe in there with that experience and that leadership is tremendously important for a lot of these young players to be able to go and play their game, because you need to have that one that's always more composed than these young kids on these big occasions to make sure that they're all enjoying themselves, playing the way they should be playing with freedom, because you can rely on the experience, especially when it comes to the back line. Nigel, real quickly, just on the performance of Pepe today, did get his goal, his second national team goal in the World Cup. It's a great goal for him as well in particular. I mean, this was just an outstanding performance from someone who is 39 years old. A quick stat before I let you answer here. Portugal defender Pepe is now the oldest ever player to score in a knockout stage game at the FIFA World Cup. 39 years old and 283 days. Insane.
Fantastic. Great performance. I mean, we've seen top players, world-class players at that level play it to a long time. We saw Maldini play till he was 40, and he's another legend. But for me, top class. You know, sometimes it's just if you read the game and have great football intelligence, which is what Pepe has. But also, I like Pepe because he's got, as Jude Bellingham said, he's got that dog in him, and he's got that dark side. That's what he's got. He is the all-round package. We've seen Pepe lose it, and we've seen him be intelligent. Like Michael said, he's come across physical strikers like Embolo before. What does he do? He reads the game, knows how to play against strikers like that, and he makes it look so easy. But people listening and watching, it's not that easy. But when you're such a good player with great football intelligence, you make it look just so easy. Great performance, captain's performance for me. And he's probably the true leader of that Portuguese team that doesn't get the credit.
And then he handed over the armband as soon as Cristiano Ronaldo came to the sidelines, and then every pass went in his direction.